So thank you for that small intro. Yeah, my name is Shiro Karanja Mutiso because my husband's actually here with me today. Yeah, you can call me Wanjiro, Kara, Wanji, whatever flows with you. Yeah. And other than being a global mental health awareness advocate, I'm an educator, social justice advocate as well. And I'm huge on a lot of things that involve us mental health wise, which is everything in our day-to-day. So I'm excited to be here and talk about men's mental health.
I know it's Men's Mental Health Month, but I just feel like we all just need you right now. Because we're going through a lot. We're going through a lot in our country. My name is Yolanda Mulwa. I host Mid-Morning. And it's not just because it's Men's Mental Health Month. We've just been meaning to have powerful conversation outside of the political space. And please, I don't know where to start. I just want you to start us off with generational wounds, because I remember even your voice note, and when we were all touching base with my producer Jeff, you were saying it's a lot. It's a lot to fit into an hour. But we don't have a problem if we don't come to a conclusive end. You can always
come back
again.
Yes.
Since you're not charging us, you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah.
We extend an eternal invite until we feel like we've had proper discussion around this. Generational wounds. My people laugh on the socials a lot and say, our men hate us. Yeah, we see a lot. Even the femicide conversation aside, we've seen a lot of anger within our nation. Look at what's going on right now.
Yesterday.
For the last couple of years. The last couple of years, it's just been brutality. And tell us about generational wounds. What are generational wounds, Shiro?
So I want to break that down for you.
Please.
Just because generational wounds come from a lot of things.
Yes.
And the one thing now that you're talking about the anger that men probably have been holding for a long time, we can start with the colonial period. I'll start with that one.
Yes.
Whereby I was actually reading this up, where before we were colonized as a country, men used to gather together and have conversations. Men used to gather together before the West education and religion came. There were these practices within culture where men could come together, have conversations within the rite of passage and things like that.
True.
But when colonialism came, this meant that men who were seen as protectors, they had to now fight. Don't forget that even policing was started by the colonialists.
Yes.
How they have so much anger and how they feel like they can control with power.
Yes.
That comes from a place of harboring so much anger.
True.
And lack of knowing yourself. And then we incorporate the fact that there's so much inherited silence within men, right? Like when we were growing up, girls are told it's okay to cry. It's okay to, to feel your emotions and be vulnerable.
And boys are told the exact opposite, like they are not supposed to be built with.
Exactly.
Like they don't have pain receptors.
Yeah, and what's funny is we're humans. The only things that separate us is the fact that it's male, female, like the biology of it. But psychologically, our brains are pretty much the same in the way how they internalize psychology. So when you tell a young boy, do not cry, be stoic, and be all these things at a young age, between the 0 to 6 are the most primal years of your childhood. So if in that whole time I'm telling my child, be strong, never cry, all of that, it's going to be inherited in them. So by the time they're in their 30s, it's so hard to unlearn that, to tell them, be vulnerable. Are you kidding me? And then when you add on like trauma transition, because this is where like generational wounds now comes in.
Yeah.
So if my dad's dad didn't know how to cry, didn't know how to have emotional language or express grief, then my dad is going to go into that and never talk about it. Yes.
Look at us looking at Gen Zs like they're aliens. Oh my goodness. The other day, I know the radio is always on full blast in my house. There's someone in my house who's like, these children won't be killed if they don't go to the streets.
Yeah.
And I want to tell her, are you mad?
Yeah.
Are you mad? The person who's expressing themselves is the problem to you. And there's so many people who echo those sentiments because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know any better, Shiro.
Yeah. And to echo that, I think women also are part of the problem.
Yes, we are.
Because if our mothers are the ones who enable this behavior of like men have to be strong, we also play a huge part in that. So the idea that, what we don't heal, we hand down.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah?
I love that. Joyline, you have to cut that. What we don't heal,
we hand down.
I love
so
it.
my grandfather passed it on to my dad. My dad may pass it on to me invertedly, even my mom. It's a generational thing. You know, people think that our parents are sometimes a problem, or our grandparents. They didn't have a manual book. They didn't know these things. We're talking about internal work or being
the
emotional.
inner healing, the inner child.
Yeah.
My mom's like, are you demon possessed? Because my mom prays her way out of everything.
And I want to point that is a huge shift that brought. Religion is a huge thing that I contend with, and I say this all the time, because we say faith without work, like faith without work is nothing, right?
Yes.
People go to hospital for cancer. So what's the problem in going to visit a therapist to just find out about your emotional health?
Let me tell you something. Honey babe, Shiro,
Yes.
kababe, my kababe. I always tell people on this show, when your car has a problem, you take it to the vet.
Yeah.
Do you take it to the vet? You take it to the mechanic. When you are having any mental issues, you have to go to a mental doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist.
Yeah.
Spiritual problems, spiritual issues.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think my house is haunted. By all means, please.
Pray
Either
about
go
it.
to the local muganga or go to your place of worship, right? Those are
Yeah.
spiritual problems. But we keep intertwining religion with everything, and sometimes I think there's things you can't pray out of.
Yeah.
Like our country, you saw the prayer breakfast. You cannot pray
can't.
this country out of the mess it's in.
No.
It's,
I agree with you.
I don't know. Maybe you should stay here all week.
And talk this through.
Continue.
But yeah,
I cut you short.
No, it's fine. I understand, because when you think about mental health, see how you're talking? It's sprinkling onto these little things that bother us. Like when I think Boni Mwangi is a good friend of mine with the family, and after I was there for the press conference that he did with Agatha, I was not able to be on Twitter or look at anything, because I was like, my mental health is being jeopardized right now. Like, I cannot look at anything because I'm not holding it in. And my husband, he's a lawyer to them too, and that's been hard for him. So even as men, shout out to my husband, because he's amazing and he's very emotionally healthy and constantly working on himself, and it's a great thing. I'm blessed to have that.
Yeah.
But I see men just hold it in.
But let me like footnote, like when Boni came, I know Boni because we worked together at the Standard Group PLC before we were even PLC. We worked together when we were still at INM. Every once in a while I'll send a text when everyone is like, we heart you, we love you, hang in there, those. Yeah. And I'm sure he gets 1 million of those.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes we should show him by showing him actions and not just messages or a text, because you've been triggered to say something, because maybe today's when he needs it the most. Let me tell you something. Boni comes out and has a presser, and the things he said, we've not had a man articulate that kind of trauma like that.
Yes.
It's the comment section. No, Shiro, I went to the comment section.
I couldn't.
Do you know I yelled at them? My first link when I came on air, before I played any song, I told them, shame on you. Shame on you. And I said, I know they'll drop off, they'll stop listening to me, they'll listen to the next station. But I told them, you keep telling, help us help you. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
You're saying you don't have safe spaces. When one of you comes, you're the ones to first and foremost provide the safe space. What did they do? Manze, hizo ni vitu mse afai kusema. Mse ukufia hizo vitu.
Wow.
These are things a man should die with. Why would you admit to that? Is there another man who's going to come forward to tell us what Boni told us? No.
That's what shocked me the most. The comments.
Like, help us help you, men, our brothers.
And that goes to generational wounds. You're just passed down to talk. It's called verbal diarrhea. Can I say that on air?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
verbal diarrhea. You just talk without thinking, without reflecting, without understanding another human's pain. Because Boni or not, many men have gone through what he has.
Yes.
He just came out and talked about it. There's so much difference with that. And I know you want to talk about safe spaces later, but I think that we need to, I don't know, it's such a hard combination of a topic, because how do you get your brother, your friend, your partner, your father to be able to understand that this is a human condition and it has nothing to do with prayer, taboo, you're not supposed to talk about it, hush, hush. We're just passing down these toxic sort of like things we don't want to touch because we're afraid. See, human beings, when they can't understand it, they can't stand it.
Okay, love it.
Oh, that's from my favorite. I just want to quote. That's from my favorite artist, Tarius Riley. You know, I'm Jamaican at heart, guys.
I love it.
Yeah, he has a song where he says, when they can't stand it, when they can't understand something, they can't stand it. When you say you love,
very true.
When you love radio, and people probably were like at the beginning, they're like, Yolanda, what are you doing? You can't hack it.
And when my dad is introducing his children, and he's
exactly.
like, this one has done BBIT, this one has done interior architecture, and this one, can you tell these people what you do?
Yeah. Because as long as they don't understand it, they can't stand it. So how, if you don't understand human pain, how are you going to be able to navigate and talk about it and have the language for it?
Oh my God. You know, when we talk about the pain men inherit, we imagine parenting issues, maybe our parents not having the necessary tools to give us, emotional safety or letting us articulate ourselves. I love the fact that you've taken us from colonialism, where our men went for, no, even before colonialism, they went and fought in World War I, World War II. They'd come and take them here like their cows and goats. Come and go fight for wars that were not even ours. They come back. There's nothing that happens, right? So PTSD, you continue with your PTSD. Then the colonial rule, go fight, continue. These people even take your shambas and whatnot. You work for, can you imagine you're working in your own shamba? Then you fight to take back your own shamba. And then the fight for multipartism, our parents were on the streets and their peers.
Yes.
I'm understanding what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're so mad. I'm like, what are you mad at?
Yeah.
Why are you so mad?
And I think it's more prevalent in men because the suicide rates in Kenya for men are 3 times higher than women, right?
Yeah.
And 60% of men in Kenya are more depressed than women.
I have the statistics. I have to read them for
you. So at the end of the day, I think that even before colonialism, there was that culture of like, we have to keep it hush-hush. It wasn't like we're going to talk about it in partnerships. You know, you're not going to talk about it with your wife. She doesn't need to know. You're not going to tell your kids.
And you're a symbol of strength.
You're a symbol of strength.
Men are nearly 3 times more likely than women to become alcohol dependent.
Yes.
There are 4.6. You can't say 4.6 of a person. There are, we round it off to the nearest.
5. There
are 5 male suicides for every 1 female suicide.
Yes.
Not in Kenya, in South Africa, but these were the closest statistics I could get because globally, I got 510,000 men die from suicide globally each year.
So the number's gone up. Every 40 seconds, someone dies by suicide.
Every
seconds. 40 seconds, someone dies by suicide. That was the statistics before COVID by WHO. WHO has not been able to do the numbers now, but you see how femicide is affecting the economy is getting worse globally. So I'm sure that number has now trickled to a much faster, lesser number, which is scary to think about. And I don't know if you want to touch on suicide a bit, but I do want to say that the understanding of suicide, because you know people say you're crazy, you're mental. These dangerous words that make people not want to talk about it. There's a book called How to Un-F Your Brain by Dr. Faith Harper. She's a good friend of mine from Texas, and we did work with her for my nonprofit. And what I want people to understand about suicide, we're all capable of killing here. Like committing murder, we're capable of that. Just the same way we're capable of dying by suicide or taking our own lives. And the reason that is because there's a part of our brain that holds steady. Your brain is like a computer. So the minute you overload it with viruses of emotions, of negativity, of toxicity, you get really tired. That's why people escape to substance abuse, alcoholism, domestic abuse, like
crutches.
Crutches, things that are very, very
mechanisms.
that are very, very dangerous and not good for your brain. But there's a time you really tap out and you take your life. It is not a will. At that point, your subconscious has taken over. Your conscious is no longer like on the table.
The part of your brain that is rational.
Yes, it cannot, because the brain is not meant to hold a lot. The world of capitalism, we could go about capitalism all day, every day.
My friend Lauren Batha says, all our problems are capitalism problems. I'm like, first sit down. Beautiful. Some problems are far deeper than. Because when you look at capitalism, you look at colonialism, when you look at Africa, the global south, it's not just capitalism. Even what's going on here, how cops are able to just murder people the way they want, that's a form of
power to survive. It's a coping way to feel like I am important.
But
whatever I'm doing.
I want us to talk about, I know I told you,
Yeah.
I know I wanted you to come and talk about so many things. By the way, you should see how she was given an itemized list of the things she's supposed to come and talk about. Maybe we can break it down and just do what we can today.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how you can come back. Please, again, if you're going to be in the country, to just tackle maybe something else. Because I feel like we'll bundle a lot in one. Although this video is going to stay on YouTube for posterity, sake.
Yeah.
The images we are watching, like yesterday when I watched that video and I played it over and over again, I cried for an hour. And like I got goosebumps. I got even my body's reaction was so crazy. My tummy started to hurt. I started getting blood vision. Tell me what the after effect of what we are watching, because I feel like the people in leadership who are ensuring this is the environment we're living in want us subdued, want us scared, not speaking, right? But I feel like with no words to properly express it, you're the one to put the expressions properly because you are trained in this. I feel like we'll have the opposite effect, because I feel the youth is getting angrier. People are getting angrier. They are getting more daring. Whatever you're expecting, you're going to get out of. Remember, this is not the 70s and the 60s. This is not the 50s and the 40s that you're going to say total lockdown and people are going to stay in the house. We're going to lock. Someone said the other day, a member of parliament, that we're going to shut down the internet because TikTok is killing children. I'm like, my bad, because I'm pretty sure no one has died because of the internet. What effects are we going to see in our country if we keep seeing these images playing over and over, and another dead boy, another dead boy, another dead boy? What are our boys going through, our young men going through?
Do you want me to talk about it from a mental health perspective?
Please.
So when you see images like that, as any human being, not just men, I think, have you heard of when people say trauma is stored in the body?
Someone told us here, Kare, she wrote, breathe, it's going to be okay. She said women wear their trauma in their reproductive area, and then men store it in their... Ooh, let her not listen, I forgot. Continue.
It's okay. So the reason why we have so many diseases is because trauma is stored in the body. Like there's now research coming out that cancer can be longly caused by stress and all these things. What's happening to us right now is our mental health is beyond the scope of being okay. And that's because the more we watch these images, which is why I told you I get off for some time, it's because that energy is stored in you, and the minute you feel like you are hopeless and powerless, you want to go fight. And that's what's going to keep happening. You look at Sarafina, it's a good example. So many people died for that. Now we can go down on how Nelson Mandela got out and it was great, not great, I'm not going to talk about that. But I think that's what's going to happen. A lot of all of these things are going to be stored in our body. And if we don't, if we fight, and we will become successful, that is my hope. If we don't work on these stored things, it's going to pop out very dangerously, because this is a revolution happening, but that doesn't mean we don't need to take care of ourselves. We need to reflect and be like, okay, I need a breather from this. It's okay to say no. Like me, I haven't gone out to the streets, and I'll go out next Wednesday when everyone's going to obviously commemorate the people who were lost, last year. But I've just been shaking at home. I've been crying at home because I'm like, I'm not okay, but I'm in a safe space, which is my home. So I think people also need to internalize for themselves. If they can't come out, go online and yell and whatever you need to
push
do.
Hashtags.
Yes, there are other ways, avenues. I think people also have to say, what is my limit and what can I... Not everyone is as brave as, say, B or Hussein or Hanifa.
Or Boni.
Exactly.
Like, where do you... And then you come to the comment section and the same Kenyans you're fighting for are insulting you.
People
I can't fight for you. I can't fight to save your life, me, if I was him. But,
so it's a lot of... That's a deep topic, Yolanda. If we were going to go into it, it's such a deep topic.
Okay, I just wanted you to touch on it because I feel like this is going to be inherited pain if this generation doesn't tackle this. Because think about it, as a young man right now, there's nothing that's more dangerous in our society. Someone was sitting at home eating kuku kienyeji at home with his parents and they were picked up from there. How do you understand how that doesn't even sound like a real story, because we say the danger is on the street anytime there's mandamano.
No.
So I'm like, imagine what this is going to play to the young man in our society. And then 10 years, 20 plus.
What happened to the guy who called, is it Ellie?
Yes.
Joshua? It could be any of us.
Yes.
It could be any of us.
This guy was at work, like me, sitting here.
Yeah, it could be any of us. So I think it's a complex topic, because right now, who is really, if we're being honest with each other, are people really thinking of their mental health, or they're thinking about going to fight to make this country better? And the other thing that we're going to talk about is social expectations, right? For men. Yeah. Right? Which is, I think, a topic
on its own.
And I think that's why it's coming to this, because there's no money, the economy is really bad right now. So how can people not go to the streets and fight for themselves?
Can we talk about societal expectations?
Yeah.
I think they're called the 3 Ps: protect, provide, produce. Yep. And now we should add police as the 4th P.
Yeah.
Shiro, because...
So I want to start off with, before we go to the 3 Ps, there's the masculinity era, which is now we're talking about toxic masculinity, right?
Yes.
So masculinity myth is about being stoic, and that, you know, when you talk about your emotions, you're weak. So strength is about silence and figuring it out in silence. And I really want to I know I've given a shout out to my partner,
Mr. Mutiso.
But really, I think I'm learning through our partnership. Yeah. I'm learning that men really inherited the 3 Ps in a very strong and an important way.
Yeah.
And one of the things is economical pressure and your worth are tied together, right? So if you're not providing, if you're not protecting, and if you're not producing, there's something inherently wrong with you as a man and as a partner. So if that was ingrained in a little boy from the age of 0 to say even their teenagehood, and then after college, it's still being imprinted in you, especially by mothers, by the way, and fathers. It's so what happened, Yolanda, your brain stores a lot of information. Yeah. And when you're at a young age, it will store information for keeps, and it will tell itself, when we're adults, this is how we should be. So think about it this way. My partner, and even my guy friends in that age group, because I've seen a lot of Ian is my dad. And I've seen that, like, the way my dad protects us, the way he provided for us, is a capsule of my partner. Yes. But that's because at a very young age, they were taught that that's what matters. My dad told me he loved me for the first time when I was 27 years old.
Were you sick?
I'm 33 now. No, it's because my dad over in the States, he did a lot of self-work. Believe you me, in his 50s. Yes.
I love that.
He did a lot of self-work.
It's never too late.
Yes, it's never too late. And let me tell you, I got that text. It was January 14th, like whatever.
And you're like, someone has stolen my dad's phone.
And I'm like, what is happening? I was upstairs in my room. I go downstairs. And I'm like, did you mean to send this? And he's like, yeah, happy birthday. And I couldn't comprehend it. And the whole day, I was just sharing it to my friends. I'm like, guys, look at what my dad sent me. Aww. And that's a 50-something-year-old man breaking and saying, I love you, I'm proud of you. Yes. And those are words I should have heard since I was like, the age of like 2 or 3, right? So if we don't teach our boys that it's okay to talk about their problems. See, I don't have a problem with men being told that they're protectors, providers. Yes. I have an issue, and the issue is that we don't give them the space to be
human.
Everything. Why can they be a protector but also a vulnerable human being? Why can they be strong even when they feel vulnerable in their emotions? Why can't they show us that they can cry and still be like, yeah, I'm the man of the household?
I love that.
Right? So we have to allow men to be entirely their humanity. We've really put men onto this box of who they are and who they should be. Like, how do men heal? How do they heal if they don't even create spaces for themselves?
They're Wolverine. Yes. Wolverine.
Yeah, like, because if guys get together,
it's so sad.
See, when we talk about toxic masculinity, when guys get together, they don't know how to start sharing at A. I'm having issues at home. They don't do that. They just talk about biashara, sports, drink.
Your moti, my moti.
Like the minute they start going deep, your brain actually
gets uncomfortable.
And you know what's funny? Your brain senses. Your brain's like, what are you doing? We don't do this. This is uncomfortable for us. So why are we doing it?
My friend told me he had a bad cold and then he was down for a week. So they hang out, 2 guys. So he calls his boy and then he tells him, "Hey, nimekuhata." Please note he didn't say, "I miss you." Hey, he told him, "Endo hate demiako." And I'm like, what? You guys, and you need to see how I end all my calls with all my girlfriends. "Bye, babe. I love you."
Yeah.
And it's okay.
To be fair, I do that with all my guy friends.
Yeah.
And they've learned how to say it back over time.
Yeah. First they're like
even when I reconnected with my guy friends in Kenya, about 15 years ago, it used to be very weird for them. It's like, why are you saying you love me? Like, this is very foreign.
Yeah.
So if we want to talk about the social expectations of guys as a society, and I say this, it's not just men. Women have a responsibility to be able to tell men that it's okay to cry, we need to reshape the masculinity conversation. Even for men, like if you and a guy stayed here and a guy says, "Okay, I'm willing to talk about this." I mean, shout out to the many musicians and artists, and I think people with a voice, even if it's politicians, artists. You have Mugambi talks about it, the actor.
Yes.
Good friend of mine. Gatia talks about it. Njura talks about it. We have people like Boni also talking about it. We have Bien talks about it. We have Blinky Bill talks about it. But we're not having enough conversations to educate. Like, we can have a one-off, but that's not enough, you know? And it's not just about in Nairobi, because also the other thing that I don't know if you think about this is that outside Nairobi, the population is not access to education as much as we are, right? So it's still in the village. It's like, isn't Mamboza the West? Isn't Mamboza church? These things are evil. True. So if we don't also have a way to tackle that in community, and it's going back to creating these safe spaces where boys get together in a community and someone as a leader is saying that, hey, there are these problems. Because femicide, men are killing women out of their own mental health issues. And if we're going to go out that rabbit hole, I could say a lot about it. So there's so much. And I want to also give a shout out to Jerry Migui, because she gets a lot of
She does. Men. She does.
Men. So there's so much that men are also unaware of. I think it's also sad when men don't want to do the work. So I write a blog, and one of the things that I said once on an interview, I said, the sexiest thing to me is when a man cries, or they're like super tally on their emotions.
Yeah, you didn't meet Edward Kwach, delete. Edward's cover was crying. Edward would cry with a snot bubble.
Yeah.
If he could. Yeah. Anytime, and people would, it was very strange. In fact, he would cry even at work here, and everyone would want to leave the room. They're like, this guy he must have gone to school abroad. I'm like, just leave him alone.
Yeah.
Like, he's very in touch with his emotions. You're the problem if you're not in touch with your emotions, male or female.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't self-reflect, because I'm a huge advocate. The way to build your mental health and mental strength, and even unlearn and learn these things, is truly reflect on self.
Yeah.
Just on yourself. Yeah.
What? Shiro. I'm like, we have 17 minutes to go, and we've barely started the conversation.
We barely scratched the surface.
What does this healing look like? You're saying the healing they rarely speak of. Like, okay, maybe wishful thinking.
Yeah.
What does paint us a picture of what the healing process looks like? Let's not even talk about the fully healed community, but what the healing process would look like.
So I want to talk about, let's first of all define healing. Healing is a continuous journey until the day you leave Earth. It doesn't stop. Before I even mention how we can provide healing spaces for men, I can touch on how my healing started.
Please.
I was 26, maybe 26, 25. And I came across this great podcaster now, Jay Shetty. I don't know if you've heard of him. I
love Jay Shetty.
Love him. I want to bring him to Kenya.
Please do.
Yes.
Please
and
do.
I was watching his videos, and I was like, when he says something and you're like, oh crap, I do this, so this is not okay. So I'd watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
And I started reading self-help books. And I have survived multiple suicide attempts. Wow. I have had minor depression. Yes. I have lost a lot of friends to suicide in the States. Yes, the Kenyan diaspora suicide rates are also very high.
Wow.
As we speak. And it's what led me to start my nonprofit called Clear Minds, Better Lives. And through the self-work that I've done, through the partnerships, through the many works that I've done, I realized that at the core, your mental health is all about yourself. So you realize how I've been talking about childhood psychology. So important. Your teenage years are the years that you practice what you learned 0 to 6. And then in your adulthood, all that combined, what you've done socially, externally, comes out. So for men who don't really self-reflect, how do we start healing them if they cannot self-reflect? So I think the one thing that we need to do is create safe spaces and programs where men willingly come and talk about their own issues. That's how we begin healing. We can't begin healing by also, you know how they say a woman can change a man?
Yes.
You know, that stuff is very not true. It's like not true.
It's big
because
bull.
a man has to change for himself
first
in order for them to be with you or to be a great partner or to be a great whatever it is that they need to do. I have nothing, like I can come into my partner's life and I can probably charge up that part of him that needs to change.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. So if we have people who are advocating for mental health, such as men, together, then they can start their own healing. Then we can support them in that. Because at the end of the day, I realize that there's a lot of unlearning that men have to do.
A lot. And
by
even
the
the
we
women.
get to
so that we can also
get to relearning. Because
Yes.
I think that what scares me is that men have passed down so many toxic habits to each other. Like one of the things is that I've seen that many of my friends with their fathers, there are a lot of things about their fathers that they don't like.
Yeah.
But then when they become fathers, they're the same exact way, but they're still complaining.
Yes.
So I'm like, why are you not willing to change? And let me tell you something. It's a lot of work for your brain to start changing. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So where are we left as adult? I think for adult men, what I would say, and leave young boys out of it, is we have to create a space where we tell men it's okay. We keep doing it.
Yeah.
We reframe the conversations on masculinity. We also encourage men. You remember the show Barbershop, the movie, sorry.
Yes.
Where, you know, guys going to the barbershop and they're getting haircuts, but they are actually having real conversation. LeBron James does it when he's having real conversations with all these celebrities. And we have to be okay with that. It's not a Western thing. Humanity is not a Western thing.
It's not. Look at where we are.
It's a human condition.
Yeah. Look at where we are.
Yeah.
We need it. I want to read a few comments. Budawamai is listening from Elbagon, says hi.
Hi.
Humphrey Asuma. Koshan Shivon from Keringet, Nakuru County. Simon Odhiambo says he's listening in the shade of love.
Ooh, I love that.
Me too. Baba Wanda is also tuned in. Now you can continue so that we don't think we are the two of us in this room. We remember we are many. It is an FM station.
Yeah.
Shiro, I don't know what first of all, we definitely need that to be continued because this is
TBC.
Yeah, because I don't think we've finished this conversation. And do you think the advocacy that goes for this month is enough? Because I feel like we deal with men for this 1 month. Yeah. Mental Health Awareness Month, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. The next time we talk about anything to do with men is during November, No Shave November, and then we deal with the cancers, the physical issues affecting men, the whatever.
Prostate cancer, all that stuff,
yes, and testicular cancer, and then that's it. Then they share World Men's Day with World Toilet Day. You know about that one, that holidays in the crapper, literally. Do you think that we do enough in this June, one month? You know, how can we bite-sized so that it can be a continuous conversation, continuous improvement?
That's a really good point, because there can never be enough. It has to be an everyday thing. It has to be an everyday practice. If you're listening to this, I think my urge for you, if you're interested in bettering your mental wellness as a man, is to create a better mental diet. Like if you look at my algorithm on Instagram, I only follow one celebrity. That's Kelly Rowland.
Really?
Yeah.
How did she make that long list?
I love her. She's amazing.
How did she get shortlisted?
She's just amazing. I love her. I don't even have a reason. But the rest of it...
I love it. You're so random.
I know. I'm like... Because the rest of it is like growth. Growth in my marriage, growth in myself, growth in my friendships.
Yeah.
That's all I see in my filter. Now, that doesn't mean I don't follow my friends or anything like that.
True.
But really, if I want to... I wake up to that mental diet and I'm very intentional about it. The way we can start doing it day by day is going online and being intentional about how can I be a better human being today. You can Google that. You can listen to a podcast. It started with a podcast for me, and then I began talking about my story, and I knew at a young age I wanted to change the world. I just didn't know how at the time.
Yeah.
But it starts with everyday things. Like if you have a son or partner, I don't want to assume, but the men in your life, if you're a woman, it's send a little video of someone talking about mental health. Don't say anything. Just like challenge them to think about it. Because sometimes I don't even talk to my partner about I just send. I'm like,
have you ever gone for therapy with him?
Yes, we have.
Look at you and his kamba. Hey, my sister attempted in my in my family.
Wait, what is this thing about kamba men not going to therapy?
Me, I'm speaking about my dad. I don't know about Shaman. He said he went. Let me tell you, my sister starts the conversation. My sister Mwende is very into self-improvement, being self-aware, generational trauma, and all that good stuff. So she has the conversation one day in my parents' house. My dad is like, whoever has the problem, see the other the problem, I'll pay. Whoever has the problem.
Me, I don't have a problem.
My sister was like, we need to go for family therapy.
Yeah.
My dad, you should see, the entire time he's just squinting. He's like, Yani, in his head, I can only imagine he doesn't want to blurt it out because now, he's very mindful of his words, and my dad is very quiet.
Yeah.
So he just looks, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to say something so bad. My mom will pray for him. We'll be fasting for you for months. Just spill it out. And he's like, come on, nasikia uko na wewe shida zako ndani ya akili.
Weenda.
Yeah. And anybody else who wants to join her, I'll pay.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks for bringing therapy up. I think therapy is a really great tool to help you discover what you need to work on. I really want to emphasize, therapy is not about fixing you. A therapist has never fixed me. It's been up to me. Because when you walk into a therapist's office, they listen and then they ask you rhetorical questions.
Like really they're repeating you.
Yeah.
Like they want you to come up with a solution.
The thing. We've made therapy like a fixing. It's not a fixing session. And that's the thing. People complain about it because they don't want to do the work. Don't go through a therapist if you don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
Do other things. Like we have a peripheral of knowledge online that you can tap into, books you can tap into.
Because I was going to tell you, therapy is expensive.
It is.
And many people, let's be honest, in our country cannot afford therapy.
Can't. So online, there's so many people that I can... if you go to CMBL Lives on Instagram, you'll find books on there. You'll have podcasts that we've done. We've had so many partnerships with great psychologists and things like that. And I really focus on the African diaspora and Black mental health across the globe because... I mean, I'm not white, so I can't relate. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Even if I grew up in the States and I've lived in London and other countries, I am still a Black African child at the end of the day.
That's true.
So I tend to voice for our people. And there even guys meeting together to be intentional about conversations. That's therapy. What people don't realize about therapy for the brain, as long as you talk it out, that's also a healing process. So that's a challenge for guys as well. Get together with your boys and be intentional about it. See, when me and my partner went to therapy,
first you need to tell us which prayer, like the one Sierra did for her to get her mind. You need to tell us about your prayer to take your
July
partner.
4th, 2023.
Yeah.
I prayed for my husband. I still have it on my phone.
Yeah.
On the Bible app.
Yeah.
I prayed for him, and then I found him. That's how he came to be, because I had told God he has to want to work on himself. He can't be perfect.
So it's us who forgot. Sorry.
Yeah. You have to be. I think whether it's a universe you believe in or whatever you tap into, I think manifestation and really believing. Because I really did ask God, like, I need a guy who wants to work on himself. Otherwise, hakuta. Because I'm constantly working on myself.
Those are rumors. In fact, my daughter has something they do in school, a lesson mandatory called Zippy.
What is that?
They talk about their feelings.
I love that.
So it's a one-on-one
what
with
school is this?
I'll tell you off.
Okay, whatever that school it is, shout out to it, because
yes,
I'm glad that they're doing that.
So the other day she had to make a sock puppet to represent her feelings, and she was like, "Mommy, I'm looking for pink socks." I'm like, "Hey, baby girl, no, you need multicolored, bright, fluorescent socks," because my daughter feels, and I see she feels, and I really pray that I can keep that part of her safe, because this manner of being strong. I know we've moved away from the boy child, but we've started sipping that kind of mentality to girls. Raising strong women. So we want to harden women the way we've hardened men all these years. Like they don't have pain receptors. You both fall down and the boy is told, kababa.
I mean,
boys don't cry.
I don't know if this is a good example or a bad example. Suluhu is a good example of a woman who's been turned into a man.
Because you're supposed to be tough.
Man stuff.
Yes.
Because how can you do
to another woman?
It gets me so angry
just thinking about it.
Like I said earlier, women play a huge part in enabling men's mental health in a very toxic way. That doesn't mean they're not women championing men. Like, I'm a huge champion of men talking about their feelings. And to be fair, I have a lot of guy friends who are like, they text me like, sure, oh my God, you're doing... But when we're in a circle, how is Yonga? Because it's still in them not to talk about it. But, you know, I'm just so blessed that I have all day, every day, a partner who is all about that stuff. Because to go through life and not be, I can't imagine not having someone by my side who doesn't want to do the work. I'd be like, I can't.
Me, I don't even feel like this is a conversation for the show, but the money in the room has taken a nap, but this has to be a forum. If it's going to be under the SpiceFM umbrella, where we can even have a focus group.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yes, please tell
Planning
me.
on a podcast launch.
Really?
Yes.
Shami, please invite me.
Yes,
I'll come even with just snacks.
Yes.
But please invite me. We have to have this conversation. I invited Commercial in the room, and we have representation here because I wanted her to see how these conversations cannot happen and end on air. We don't have the airspace for it because it's still a radio station. We need to play music and ads, and news is coming up in a few seconds. You get.
Yeah.
Please tell us about how we can find you, your arts, your website. You said your vlog, just how we can reach you, immerse ourselves in your work because we are out of time, but you're definitely going to come back here again.
Thank you. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, 10 Kara, and that's Karra. And then you can, the work that I've done previously, because I'm on pause with my nonprofit, it's CMBL and then IVEZ, so CMB Lives with a Z. You'll see the work that we've done in the past, and the passion projects that I've worked on. Yeah, and thank you for having me. I feel like we didn't even talk about everything. So thank you for having me, and I appreciate
notes.
it.
She came with printed notes. I love this woman. I love this woman. And sometimes I have guests here and I'm like, please one day stand for office. I see so many people who should be in leadership position when I've opened up this Wednesday space to guests. And I'm like, I hate our leaders. I loathe them. And I see so many people who could stand up, but you must stand up. The people who believe in something don't stand up. For us, so we're left with no choice sometimes. Right? And if you don't, what happens if we all don't vote? You know, I ask myself those questions sometimes. So I'm like, maybe, you know, I would see you as a minister or a CS gender, for instance, because these are conversations that need to start. The nation needs to start having from school. This should be part of our curriculum.
Homes, school, churches, all that stuff.
Shiro,
it's been amazing.
Mrs. Mutiso,
thank you.
Thank